Welcome back to Attack on Titan, anime review episode number 46. This is reviewing the 77th episode of the series, Snake Attack. Yep, that's the name of this episode. And this one basically adapts, like, the last 8 pages of chapter 117, basically finishing up that chapter. 118 pretty much adapts almost the entire chapter of this episode, with the exception of about a handful of pages, which were adapted in the last episode. And 119, it does kind of partially adapt this one. It adapts maybe like the first couple pages. But that's it. Now we start with a cold opening, which is 7 minutes. A 7-minute cold opening. Yeah, for Attack on Titan, this is quite lengthy to say the least. That's when we finally have the opening title sequence, which I still think is a really good title sequence. This one part of it I'm not really a big fan of. When I have these deep, like, growly stuff part of the thing, but the song itself is really good. It starts off with basically we have the former cadets. We have Connie, Jean, Mikasa, and Armin agreeing to basically go and try to take down Eren. And then pretty much, of course, along with Sasha's family, they proceed to walk up the stairs, tell a person to stop what they're doing. And of course, they also managed to free everybody who was in prison. And one of the people who were in prison was in fact the guy who trained them. Yes. Commander Shenas, I think his name is. Yeah, he was one who basically was imprisoned. Falco basically is with a group of, I believe it was Interior Police, where he's like, he really wants to go. Of course, everyone's like wanting to get out. And of course, they all get out. And of course, Falco is with Nile. Then, of course, everybody's freed. And, of course, they have Commander Praxis giving a speech. Tell anybody who actually has drank the fluid, stay close to me. Everybody else, they mentioned I have the limited amount of ODM gear. And they're going to go out and fight, obviously. And then pretty much after that, we have the open title sequence, which I love. The visuals for this thing is so good. I think the music is good. There's some portion, like I said, I'm not really a big fan of, but still a really good song. It has sort of the similar vibe to I would say the opening theme song from Season 2. It has a similar beat to it, but not exact carbon copy. Then pretty much after that, we have several things going on here. We also have some minor changes of dialogue, mind you, yes. In the case of what's going on with Falco and Gabby, of course, is told to go to the skates. She's like, no, she brought Falco here. She wants to help out, and she is a cadet, and she wants to help out. And, of course, she goes with this guy who actually turns out to be Falco's brother. And she went there for quite a while. And then, of course, now says, I'll take this kid time up in the house. And they're like, okay. Because Falco sees his brother's there. And now basically takes to his brother, very covertly, gives back to his brother. And, of course, he walks off. Falco says thank you, and of course now it goes off and he's not seeing the episode. Of course, I will get to Eren stuff, because that's the key, that's the big thing in this episode, this whole thing with Eren. Then of course Falco confesses that he actually had indirect involvement with the massacre that led to this whole thing that basically happened during the first arc that was adapted for this very season. And he also admits he's in love with Gabby. Yes, he admits that. Though in the manga he says, I like you. In the anime it says, also I'm in love with you. Slight wording change, and of course he mentioned he wants to be talks about family with him, the fact he's possibly become a Titan because he drank some of Zeke's spinal fluid, which they do mention that he had to make sure he does not hear it, otherwise hear his screech, otherwise though that he will turn into a Titan, which he will. Don't worry about that, though it's a very different time we've seen in the series, which I'll get to that, don't worry, whenever the anime gets to it. Gabby's upset with him, basically, for being involved with the massacre, but it's implied she probably does accept his feelings for her. So she proceeds to rip up the black armband he's got on, and of course they go off, do their own thing. Meanwhile, though, we still continue the fight between Eren and frickin' Reiner, which, of course, Reiner actually puts up a lot more better of a fight in the anime he does in the manga. In manga, he got frickin' wasted by Eren. Because, basically, whenever these two fight, with the exception of the first time they fought, which, of course, Reiner was the one basically coming on top. A lot of the rest of the time after the first round, first time that these two fought in Titan form, with the exception of that one fight, every other time, Eren is wiping the floor with Reiner. How about, of course, they rip each other. Yeah, of course, basically, then we see the Beast Titan has shown up. Yes, the Beast Titan. And he's gone back to his old baseball swinging ways with a bunch of rocks. Yes?
Could you come out and put the TV on? I don't know how to do it.
Those are... Okay, be right back.
Just a minute. Mom said, yeah, just put the TV on. I can switch it off.
Okay. Okay. Apologies about that. I had to go turn the TV off my grandma because she did not know how to turn the TV on here. Anyways, yes. So, Beast Titan is basically plowing his way, just hitting the Cart Titan, which of course at one point Peck gets out of the Cart Titan form, and they proceed to attack him while he's attack the Beast Titan, seeking this Beast Titan form. And then when the Beast Titan stands out of the wall while basically blasting the stuff, and of course a lot of people will basically get hurt. Zeke, of course, first thing he does with his little baseball stone swing, he decides to take out the blimps, the airships. He takes out about 3 of them. And someone, like, when they get hit, they crash with each other. Yep. They crash with each other. Then, I'm trying to remember what else. Oh yeah. Then he gets hit after being hit multiple times. Finally hit with the big turret gun that was playing on top of the Car Titan. He gets a whole blast in his shoulder. He gets knocked off the wall. And then we see Eren just crawling his way. He's limping his way to the wall. Even after he basically had been nearly beaten by Reiner. And, well, everyone basically trying to fight. And of course, you have a group going top of the tower. They do cut the page out here of Yelena basically agreeing to work with them. That probably adapted for next week's episode because they're technically, of the 4 pages that were skipped over from chapter that were not adapted for this episode, 3 were adapted for last week's episode. Here they've adapted all 118 except for 1 page, which I'm sure they'll probably adapt next week, and probably go through the rest of 119 and go presumably to 120. So as of this episode, they pretty much finished adapting 117. Yeah, that's completely done. 118, all but 1 page, but they're probably going to adapt the rest of it next week. So as this episode here, we have exactly 21 chapters left to be adapted for the anime. Which I'm sure probably going to go through a lot more of it next week. Yeah. Definitely a great episode, and definitely looking forward to next week's episode. I'm sorry I had to leave partway through the video for a few minutes because the whole thing of turning the TV on my grandma because she didn't know how to turn it on here. She knows how to turn the TV on at her house, but here she does not know how because she doesn't live here. Yep. Anything else to say about the episode? Oh, by the way, almost forgot to mention. There's a scene with Mikasa when she puts on her ODM gear. And they kept this in the manga too. Which, this is important. They had to keep this in. A lot of the time we see her throughout the first few seasons of the show, even the start of this season, she's wearing her red scarf. When the season starts, she still had the red scarf. Because what Eren said to her toward the end of the first part of this season, of course, she's wondering if he actually does hate her. And apparently, according to Armin, he not only Eren knew about the headaches, but he knew about it too. But the question is, why didn't he say anything to her about it? That's one thing that I think a lot of people would be baffled by that factor about Armin. And then, of course, see the girl who actually is a big fan of Mikasa. And she asks if she's going to wear her scarf that she normally wears. And no, she doesn't put it on. She just folds it up, puts it on the table, and goes to do some fighting. From what I have been told, heard a line, and if I could tell this too, it's basically the way, kind of in a way, Mikasa let go of Eren in a way, and potentially help setting up the end of the series. But who knows? She might put it back on before the end of it. Yep. But I had to bring that up because, well, that was an important character moment from Mikasa. Yep. Interesting, though, see her in ODM gear. And it looks like, though, for attire-wise, they go back to Season 3 attire. Yep. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular video. Excuse me for a minute. Excuse me. Yes. So, yeah, that's a particular view. There might be a couple more videos happening today because, well, probably some comic corners. And maybe I might get a chance to do Atomic Incarnates this time because I'm getting pretty close to wrapping up reading book 3. So that might happen later on today. Yep. Or it could happen tomorrow at the latest. Okay? That's the video. Bye.